Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk in the Burgh. I am your ravishing host, Jess McCullough, and joining me for today's festivities are RMU-TV's resident loudmouths, Casey Irwine and Joshua Whitman. Gentlemen, how are we today?
I'm feeling great, Jess. I mean, it's just another great day to be on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
Yeah, nice day.
Wow. Very, very expressive so far. Well, folks, we have a jam-packed show for you today. And you know what else we would talk about? The NFL. In a dominant defensive performance, the Pittsburgh Steelers trounced the white-hot Indianapolis Colts this past Sunday 27-20, powered by 5 sacks and 6 turnovers from the Steel Curtain. With a convincing victory over what many consider to be a contender, the Steelers are back in the win column, putting them at 5-3. Did this win change your expectations of the Lurs this season, Josh?
Yes, no. I'm going to lean more towards no, though. Things we learned from this game. It showed the Steelers can make big plays on defense still. We knew that. It showed that they have a hard time seeing a game out. We knew that. It showed that even though a team of that caliber should be putting up higher points against an offense like that, they still can't, and they're still going to look cowardly on a lot of 4th down conversions, 3rd down conversions, stuff like that. And then in this age of defense, we have to consistently rely on a team to consistently turn the ball over in order to get points. And when that is the case, that's not a viable source of wins. You're not going to see a lot of that. Yes, this team had a good offensive line. They had a good hot quarterback coming into this. They had a great run game. The Steelers managed on defense to make that look one-dimensional, and that's excellent game planning. But is that a viable way to keep winning? I'm going to say no.
I mean, Josh, here's the thing, though. You say, oh, is it a viable way to keep winning? All right. No one has been able to do what the Steelers just did to the Colts all season. Coming into the game, Daniel Jones had 3 interceptions. He had 3 interceptions against the Steelers. You look at the top of the AFC, who's on top? It's the Colts at 1. It's the Patriots at 2. And the Steelers have beaten both of those teams. You look at the whole season, they're really only a Caleb Johnson mistake away against a good Seahawks team and a Joe Flacco trade to the Bengals from being a 6-1 team. I mean, look at the defense. Look at this defense in this last game.
They got absolutely obliterated. Casey, this team got absolutely obliterated. And yeah, we could say, oh, if, whens, or buts. Joe Flacco was on the Bengals. Joe Flacco, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase torched this team.
Still came down to one field goal at the end.
But when it came to it, though, that was a bad defense that a lot of teams have capitalized on. The Jets, who the Steelers beat them. The Bears, who the Steelers will take on in a couple weeks, beat them. We have to see. I don't think you can take away anything from this game and say, oh, wow, the Steelers are back. The Steelers are definitely a top contender in there.
I'm not going to immediately call them a top contender, Josh, but you look at this thing. The last few years, the big thing with the Steelers' defense has been, oh, they turn the ball over, but the offense can never put it together. With Aaron Rodgers, who's currently 3rd in passing touchdowns in the league and top 10 in passer rating, this offense has put it together, and they can win
points
these games.
Off turnovers, though. And what I'm saying is that the turnovers aren't always going to be there.
You say that, but they do it every year.
They do it every year, every once in a while.
They do it every year, and Aaron Rodgers has
all
the
that
offense
matters is if they
good,
can do it in the playoffs.
They can keep winning now because the offense finally can capitalize off these turnovers and win these games.
I just feel like that this is much more of a Steelers playing to the level of their competition. I mean, this stuff has happened with the Steelers for the last few seasons.
And what has happened with the Steelers the last couple of seasons? They lose. They lose in the playoffs. They don't even win. They hardly make it there.
And the offense was bad.
Well, yesterday was a hallowed holiday in the NFL world with the NFL trade deadline. With many a blockbuster deal going down, we saw the New York Jets wave the white flag, trading away franchise cornerstones in defensive tackle Quinnen Williams and star cornerback Sauce Gardner. With a lone win against a haggard Bengals squad, the Jets signal yet another revolution in their seemingly endless rebuild. Casey, do you think the Jets made the right call?
No, I really don't think they did because the season's already over. You're 1-7, but you're going to have a top pick in the draft. And you really look at the stars they have. You remember the Jets having so many stars on both sides of the ball? Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams, that defense is a step away from being elite. You have Garrett Wilson. You have Breece Hall. You're really looking at the Jets. You know, they drafted Membu at the offensive tackle position. Really, you get a top quarterback in this draft. They could have had maybe a James Daniels and Commanders type of season next year.
And
but
that's sort of what they were looking for, right? I mean, they bring in Aaron Glenn. They have this defensive-minded head coach that they're starting the year with. They have a new quarterback. They sort of try to reinvent themselves at the start of the year.
Obviously, they were thinking they're going to try to compete next couple years. They give Aaron Glenn the big contract. They give Sauce Gardner a big contract to perfectly pair with Aaron Glenn, who was a corner for the Jets. And then they just throw it all away. And does it really matter? The Jets have never drafted so good as they have done recently. With those picks, now they could draft Bobby Boucher and God himself. It won't matter because the Jets are cursed. They've never drafted this well.
Casey, I agree with you on half, but I am going to play devil's advocate a little bit. When you talk about this team, these moves they made, as we look at the graphic here, they're not awful moves. Sauce Gardner has clearly been on a recession. I've been telling it to everyone who's been around when we've been talking about this before the show, that the clip they used for Sauce Gardner when the NFL announced his trade was from when Alan Lazard was a Packer. Sauce Gardner and Alan Lazard were teammates a year ago. So that really just kind of shows you the state that the Jets are in. I do agree that these moves can be looked at as a little bit crazy, but in the end, you'd rather take the shot than keep kind of living out this memory or this hope or wish that they're eventually going to produce something special here. I agree with you, Casey. They can draft God himself, and I don't think he would be a good enough quarterback in that system. And then, of course, he'd leave like Darnold has and be successful, like Rodgers has and be successful. I do think that is the case, but at the same time, you have to keep trying because 1-6 is not going to be good
Josh.
enough.
They're just that quarterback away, which they can get this year with their
But
own
Sauce Gardner
pick.
hasn't
They've
been
never
that great.
had so many stars on both sides of the ball in
Quinnen
their
Williams
history.
has 3 sacks, 6 pressures on the year, so it's clearly not working there for him. So you're going to get a chance for him to go to the Cowboys and be something special.
Sauce Gardner's
go win a
also
ring
not
for
on
Sauce
a
Gardner.
recession either. He's the #1 corner in the league.
He's not okay.
See, my biggest question with the Jets is why they didn't trade a lot more of their offensive talent away, especially someone like Breece Hall. But I know it's hard to believe, folks, but we're already halfway through the NFL season. The NFC is looking more wide open than ever, with many preseason contenders looking vulnerable. Teams across the conference are showing signs of improvement. And that being said, we're getting into crunch time. And you know what they say, pressure makes diamonds. Josh, who's the NFC outsider you think will be playing in January?
Well, we were just talking about the Jets and the trades they made, and I'm actually going to say one of the teams they worked with, and that's the Cowboys. The real reason behind this is the same reason people give hope and belief to the Bengals year by year. It's because it's such a high-powered offense with so many good players. Javonte Williams has rebuilt himself in the system and has been amazing for them. You now have George Pickens to partner up with CeeDee Lamb on the outside, so you got 2 great receivers, and Dak seemingly always plays like an MVP candidate when he's healthy. And so I think if they put it all together, plus with this move they made with Quinnen Williams, yes, he has been poor, but he's an excellent run stopper on the season, and that's just what the Cowboys need. I know for Cowboys fans, it's going to sting not having Micah Parsons there, but I do think if there's a team who can get in there, it's them with such a high-powered offense.
The Cowboys. They've had that good offense all season. Where are they? 3-5-1, only beating what? A Russell Wilson Giants, a Commanders team
It's
without
the same
any
thing
wide
with
receivers.
the Bengals. It's the same. I'll just stop you real quick. Casey, do you think the Bengals have a legit chance?
No.
You don't.
No.
Even in the open conference that is AFC
Their
North. I'm going to
defense is
stick
so
on the
bad.
topic, though. I'm going to stick on the topic that is at hand here and say that teams with such a high-powered offense, points win you games. Yes, the defense is
Quinnen
certainly
Williams
questioning.
and the most overrated, overpaid linebacker in the league, and Logan Wilson, is not going to make their defense even average to make up for it.
I don't
Never mind
think
elite.
Logan
Who
Wilson's
is
necessarily going to
Josh,
change
here's the
anything,
thing.
but it brings that leader and
here's-
veteran
Josh,
presence that they need in order to see them over the line.
It's
You
not.
look-
They're not seeing any sort of
you
line.
look at the-
They're-
Casey,
Josh,
what's your pick?
I'm going to tell you that. But if you want to stop talking about the Cowboys, which no one's going to be talking about them at the end of the season, who they are going to be talking about is, of course, the Bears. All right, they're 5-3, and while they might not have a great defense either, they are still 5-3. They just have a better chance looking at it like that. And this offense has really put it together under Ben Johnson. Finally, they just had a shootout win against the Bengals.
I thought the Bengals weren't that good.
Their offense is great, Josh. Like we just said, we both acknowledge
what about
their
their
offense is
defense?
great. They just scored 42.
What about their defense?
Yeah, their defense is not great. But here's the thing. They just
Oh, okay.
outscored the
Defense is
Bengals
good.
offense. That offense, which is so elite, They put it together. Caleb Williams looking great. The rushing
They are
offense
one
is
tackle away from losing that game and being the next joke
Hey, Josh,
of
what'd you
the
say?
NFL.
Hey, Josh, what'd you say in the first question with the Steelers? Oh, ifs and whens, but now you're using this argument. So
One
really,
tackle.
Does that make sense?
It's a fact.
I said
It's
the
a
same
fact,
thing about
fellas.
Caleb Johnson.
Fellas.
You were up in arms. So I don't really understand. The Bears, they're going to be playing against the Giants. They're going to be playing against the Browns. They're going to win a couple divisional games. They really only have to. And next up, they're playing the Giants. They're going to win a
The
few more
Cowboys
games.
have
and that's
the
all
third
they need.
easiest schedule remaining according to PFF. And on top of that, when you look at teams like we've been talking about franchises who never get good. They can never find anything. The Bears, are we serious? The Bears have
Cowboys,
to play.
are we
The Bears
serious?
are still going
The
to have to play the
Cowboys, all
Steelers.
right.
And you seem to think the Steelers are going to be
You living in
really good.
1992?
The Bears?
fun?
The Bears. Mike Ditka isn't here anymore, pal.
I think I agree technically more with Casey. I think the Bears, they look like the hotter team moving into the second half
can
of the
never
season.
get
They've got momentum. They're putting it together, and they have confidence now winning a game like that.
Well, when we come back, we go from the gridiron to the hardwood for some RMU and NBA basketball discussion and an especially hot top 5 from yours truly. Stay tuned right here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Today, we face an unprecedented crisis. Tens of millions of refugees have been forced from their homes. But you can make a difference. Turn disruption and despair to hope and opportunity. Even small amounts make a big difference. Provide shelter, support, or jobs in your community. The more we understand, the greater sense of belonging we create. Act now. Visit supportcrisisrelief.org.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
And welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. Winter sports are starting here at RMU. That means it's basketball season, and Moon Township is officially Hoop Township once more. Last night, the RMU men's basketball team opened their season against the Iowa Hawkeyes and a familiar face in Alvaro Fogueras. After a deflating first half, RMU were never able to catch up to the Hawkeyes in a 101-69 loss. Still, we got a first look at RMU's new roster and we saw some flashes of what polls are saying is going to be a contender yet again in the Horizon League. Casey, what are some of your biggest takeaways from last night's contest?
I think my first takeaway is that Chitty Kudis, who Chitty Bang Bang, as he's going to be called this season.
That's a good nickname.
He's going to be the best player on this team. He's going to be their next Marquise Hastings. But my other thing is that, well, he's going to be the next Marquise Hastings on this team. The teams also might look like Marquise Hastings' final season here with the Colonials back in 23-24.
It was his only season, by the way.
Back in 23-24. Marquise Hastings was so great, but the team not so much. And Ryan Prather, he's going to be himself. He'll look like Josh Corbin. Vargas might find his stride as the main ball handler like Justice Williams sort of did. Hopefully he doesn't place any bets like he did. Ubong Okon's going to be Chris Ford coming off the bench. I just don't think the way this team looked, it just looked really confused. They look lazy at times. I don't know if I saw enough individual flash of moments or skills where I think they can really pull it all together. But I do have to just also say, man, was it sad seeing Alvaro hit big threes against the Colonials.
I will say the moment he checked in, it was, I mean, we all watched the game together, and it was a sad moment. I do want to shout out Albert Vargas. I was really impressed with his perimeter defense, especially in the first half. They weren't getting up very many perimeter shots. They were taking a lot of shots at the rim, which then that leads to another problem. But Albert Vargas has been a bright spot for me so far.
Guys, I just want to ask you both a question. I want to hear your honest answers.
Of course.
Do you think that a team with over 10 transfers, right, 4 of which started last night with only one returner, Ryan Prather, and if they went into a team who's picked 34 in the country, okay, on the road, first game together, do you think they were going to gel perfectly?
No. I
No.
really don't think so.
But I
Okay.
also thought they would
So-
have maybe competed a little bit. They just looked.
So
out
I was
against
actually
Iowa.
I was actually at the West Virginia game last year, where they started out worse. West Virginia went on a 29-0 run to open the game. RMU went on, or the longest run that Iowa went on last night was a 9-0 run. Okay, so when that is the case, yes, don't expect it to be great early on. But you look at those transfers and those numbers, they got height back. Rebounding in the Ken Palm is going to be a huge thing. That's what a lot of guys make their projections on. RMU should have that height to be able to master that if they can just figure out how to make the buckets and then on defense learn how to shut it down a little bit more. I'm confident in their rebounding. I'm confident in their ability around the rim to protect it, and I'm confident in their shooters to click. Prather looked amazing last night. Vargas had a nice couple good threes. Good is from IU Indy. He has that Horizon League experience. I trust when these guys are playing in the trenches against Detroit Mercy, it's going to be a way different story.
We'll see, Josh.
They've got a very easy schedule coming up after these next two games, first of which against Iowa and next against Drake. Once they get back home at the UPMC Event Center, I think they're going to look a lot better. Now, I don't know about you folks, but it has been delightful to have NBA basketball, and especially with the new and improved NBC and Amazon broadcasts, the outright scoring explosion the league saw in its opening week, we as basketball fans are feasting. However, there are some players who haven't quite whet my appetite, and as such, I'm going to go over my top 5 most overrated players in the NBA so far this season. At number 5, I'm going to go with Ja Morant. Ja, since coming to the league, has been nothing but a headliner. At first, it was for his incredible play on the court with thunderous dunks and jaw-dropping athleticism. Ja was seen as the future for a long derelict franchise. Then, after their loss to LeBron in 2023's playoffs, Ja's biggest issue has been staying out of headlines. Without those issues, Ja's production on the court still hasn't rebounded to his 2022 status. Across 6 games so far this year, he's averaged a relatively quiet 20 points on 40% efficiency, and the Grizzlies sit at the bottom of the conference, even as people speculate about a change of scenery for Ja. I would be skeptical to pair him alongside another star. Ja, without the ball in his hands, has been nothing but dead weight. Number 4 sees us talking about another young guard, this one with a little bit more pedigree, Anthony Edwards. Now, I know what you're saying. Anthony Edwards, who dragged the Timberwolves to the conference finals 2 years in a row, and trust me, I still believe he's a great player. However, the distinction I want to make about him is about the top caliber of players in the modern NBA. The classic shooting guard is largely extinct. Now point guards are both shooters and playmakers, and Anthony Edwards can make plays, and his defense is lethal compared to some of the other star guards in the league, but he's not best in the league territory. We've seen teams force Ant to be a decision maker in big moments, and he's still struggled. I trust Edwards to adapt his style of play a little bit further, just like he did last year with his insane shooting clip. But until he develops that facilitating gene, I don't know how much I trust Anthony Edwards to be the level of Luka or SGA. At number 3, I have Josh Giddey. I want you all to think about something with me. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who won the most games in the Western Conference and lose in the conference semifinals because a certain player is straight up unplayable. Then the Thunder trade this player away for a 1-for-1 deal and in turn get a bench player, and this move makes the team better. Josh Giddey is a system player, just like James Harden or Luka Doncic or Nikola Jokic. Unfortunately, Giddey's system isn't nearly as good as his 20-point triple-double stat line looks, how it looks. His Bulls starting 5, oh, don't be deceived. This is a ruse of Giddey's lack of three-point shooting and struggling perimeter defense. He can't be hidden all season. There's a reason the Bulls waited to pay Giddey this offseason. And while his play on the court looks good, it's all a Trojan horse. The Bills will be back in the play-in just like last year. Up next is a common subject for NBA fans. Trae Young, an incredible shooting talent with an offensive engine. Trae Young was heralded as the next Steve Nash. After a miraculous 2021 run, Atlanta was poised to be up next. After a quick impromptu rebuild getting the number 1 overall pick, the Hawks were a sleeper contender in the East so far this year. And yet, the Hawks remain where they have always been, hovering under 500. Trae Young has an incredible roster around him with Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, Kristaps Porzingis, and yet his offensive system still looks middle of the road. I think we're going to learn a lot about Trae Young this year, even as he nurses an injury. And I think that lesson is his game is impressive, but his net impact on the court is too hard to swallow for any team who wants to win basketball games. And finally, at the top of our list, I need to vent a little. When you hear number 1 overall pick, when you hear All-Star, the next LeBron, your eyes shine with excitement. Anyone would want that for their team. And yet, after a promising first 2 seasons, I've soured on Paolo Banchero. Anyone can look at his stats and be impressed. When you see his box scores, they're great. But in reality, Paolo's the biggest problem for the Orlando Magic. Paolo has this annoying habit of forgetting that he's 6'10" with incredible strength, and apparently loves taking the toughest shots in the world. Hezzy, pull-ups, turnaround, off-balance jumpers. Every time he touches the ball, he's a ball stopper. Paolo is shooting under league average at every spot on the floor, including the rim. And for the bill of his talent, he's been an albatross for this Magic team. And this wouldn't be a problem if the solution wasn't so very obvious. Take the ball away from him. He's playing with Franz Wagner, a basketball World Cup champion with more playmaking chops and better shooting ability. They just brought in one of the best consistent volume shooters in the league in Desmond Bane. And yet Paolo thinks that every time he gets stopped in the post, he needs to turn into Carmelo Anthony and shoot without any space. He is consistently frustrating, and the Magic need to seriously consider how he's affecting their style of play. That's my list top to bottom, fellas. What's your immediate takeaways?
My first immediate takeaway, Jess, is you call Jokic a system player. I cannot believe you.
Okay.
I cannot believe you just called Jokic a system player.
You need to understand what I meant when I said system.
I don't even want to hear. I don't even want to hear.
He's
We're
not
not
a part
even
of a
talking about
system.
Jokic.
He is the
where I just
system.
had to say it. I don't even care. But what I do care about is that you called Josh Giddey overrated when this guy has the Bulls at 6-1. They've beaten the Pistons. They've beaten the Knicks. Last time they came back from 24 points against the 76ers, who were first in the East. Now the Bulls are first in the East. Josh Giddey had 29 points, 12 assists, 15 rebounds. He's averaging a 23-point double-double, almost
any
a triple-double.
of those teams championship contenders? The Pistons, the Knicks, the Sixers, they're all good. But compared to any of the Western
Knicks?
Conference
The
teams, they're
Knicks?
not nearly as
The
good.
Knicks
The
aren't
Knicks?
contenders?
The Knicks aren't contenders?
The Knicks
No,
Pistons
they're
aren't
Eastern
contenders?
Conference contenders,
A
but I don't think
fully
anyone's
healthy
taking
76ers
seriously
so
to win the
then
whole thing.
a team who's competing in the Eastern Conference at a high level every year, making it to the
Oh my
conference
goodness.
finals, that seems like they're a championship contender.
They're a
to me.
championship contender,
I
but if
have
they go
to
up
just
against
say-
any team in the West, it's
I
over
just
for
have
them.
to say, I agree with a lot of the sentiment of your list. I think there are some notable omissions, cough, Duncan Robinson, cough. But other than that, I think when you look at guys like Paul Banchero, Trae Young, and even a little bit of Josh Giddey, John Morant, it's all guys who miss time. And I think when you look at that, that obviously hurts their stock. I think Banchero is a great take, though, Jess. I personally believe that he's a reason this team can't really excel so far. If they do succeed, it'll be because of him. But if they don't succeed, it will also be because of him. Same with Trae Young. Same with John Morant. When they lose these guys, yeah, the product might go up a little bit on the court, but they aren't contenders because of it.
I don't think it's purely because of the fact that they've had injuries. Paolo came back at the end of last season, and he was playing pretty well. They took a game off the Celtics, but regardless, when we come back, we're cranking up the speed of these takes, and we're covering anything from RMU basketball to the World Series. You won't want to miss a thing here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
Bring it. Time out, guys. I'm late to dinner.
Right now we're under 15. Good job on that.
Catch you guys later.
Mom wants us home.
1 minute.
Bye, guys.
1 minute till we're back. Sorry.
You guys need a ride?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. How about some one-on-one? I gotta go eat, man. Sorry, I'll see you later.
$40. $30 seconds.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It's time to step on the gas as we get into some rapid fire takes. I'll have a question, and either Josh or Casey will take a stab at it, and if they take too long, they'll get buzzed. We've got a lot of news to cover, so let's not waste any more time. The Steelers stayed quiet this year at the trade deadline, not bringing any new receiving talent after Adam Schefter claimed they were looking for some. Casey, is this the right move?
No, it was not. And I know I was lobbying for that defense earlier, but they really needed corner help. That secondary, it just is not where it needs to be totally, and they could have used that help, and they definitely need wide receiver 2 help for sure. To get Shaheed, who just went to the Seahawks, or Myers, who just went to the Raiders, that would have been so huge. Teams have been way too easily been able to eliminate DK Metcalf out of games like the Colts just did. He had only 1 catch, so having a big-time wide receiver 2, maybe not big time, Shaheed isn't big time, but that would have opened up the offense so much more. Omar, what are you doing? Get on the phone.
Speaking of the Colts were in headlines yesterday when they traded for two-time All-Pro Sauce Gardner, and afterwards it was noted that they traded him for 2 first-round picks. Josh, what do you think of this?
Yeah, well, we talk about one team who needed that secondary help and they didn't get it, and now this is a team who did. This is a team who ranked 26th in pass yards allowed, and they also employed 32-year-old Xavier Howard. This is a team who needed to take that step up, and when you're going to be a contender, picks are all worth it if at the end of the season you have the ring. In their 2 losses against the Steelers and the Rams, Aaron Rodgers threw for over 200 yards. Matthew Stafford threw for over 370. So this is a team who certainly need to lock down that corner position if you're going to fight to win it all.
In Cincinnati, Joe Flacco's been balling out for the Bengals. And with Joe Burrow still out with turf toe, does Flacco's performance hamper your opinion of Joe Burrow moving forward, Casey?
I mean, Jess, is Joe Burrow a system quarterback?
I don't know.
He just might be. I mean, Joe Flacco in 3 games, he's got over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns per game. He's looking unbelievable. He's 41 years old. Looks like he could be my dad or working at a hardware store, and he's playing like an all-pro. Could I be a Pro Bowl quarterback
Could I be a Pro Bowl quarterback?
Could I be paid $300 million if I was throwing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? Maybe Joe Burrow is just lucky to be on that type of offense. I'm not calling him terrible, but I don't know, Jess.
I was going to say he's better than nothing, I'll say that. The Dodgers won the World Series last Saturday, being the first team to win back-to-back MLB titles since the Yankees, after buying out all the expensive talent in the league. Some speculate that the salary cap is on the way for the MLB. Josh, do you think we're headed for a lockout in the future?
Yes, I do, Jess. The reason dynasties are so hard to see in the world of baseball is because of the limitations they keep adding, and now with the salary cap seemingly looming, I think Rob Manfred is ready to stand on business on this one. They don't want a Cavs-Warriors type of situation where it's just the highest paid National League team versus the highest paid American League. They want teams like the Red Sox and Yankees competing every year. They want teams like the Cubs and the Mets competing every year. Those are the teams they want to see in. They don't just want Dodgers and Shohei and Freddie Freeman in the finals every year with their 15 starting pitchers all coming in one after another when they go into extra innings.
The Dodgers' win happened after a barn burner Game 7 with a legendary pitching performance from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Casey, is this the best Game 7 in World Series history?
Listen, was it a great World Series? Yes. Was it a great Game 7? Of course. But is it the best all time? Absolutely not. Jess, it's always going to be that 1960 World Series for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They beat the superstar Yankees 10-9 in Game 7. And, of course, Bill Mazeroski hit the walk-off bomb in the bottom of the 9th, the only one that's ever been done in World Series Game 7.
You got fresh memories of that, Casey?
Yeah, I do. Back then, it was different at Forbes Field.
After a blazing hot start, the Pittsburgh Penguins have cooled off, losing their last 3 of their 4 games and losing a 3-goal lead against the Maple Leafs last night. Were those early season highs just another fluke, Josh?
I think it would be very easy to say that, but there's something different about this team, and what it all comes down to is the youth. The youth aren't used to that. I mean, we can talk about how roster construction shapes things, but the youth don't want to lose. They're a team that can last and keep going and further. Ben Kindle has looked amazing for them, and I trust those players, the young players, to be the solution to why the Penguins won't see this happening onward.
RMU women's basketball had their first game Monday night with a strong win over UIC. Pitt transfer Aislinn Malcolm had 26 points, a third of the team's offense. Will she lead the Colonials to a Horizon League championship this year, Casey?
Jess, I think the answer is yes. I think it's a big, fat yes. I mean, look at 23-24 season. Colonials lost 18 in a row. Looked like they had no future. Coach McCabe comes in, and last season they shoot all the way up to 4th, finishing 10-10 in the conference, making playoffs. And now in her second year, that team's only going to be better. And with this player, Aislinn Malcolm, coming in from Pitt, she scores 26 in her first game. She might win Player of the Year, and they're going to go March Madness.
The RMU men's soccer team heads into the playoffs with 3 wins, 1 loss, and 5 draws. While they haven't lost many games, they haven't won many. Do these draws spell disaster for the Colonials in the playoffs this year, Josh?
No, draws mean that they can compete with everyone. They only lost 1 game, and that was to Green Bay, who was ahead of them. They beat Wright State 3-0. Over the course of the season, they have a +7 goal differential, 16 goals for, 9 against. They know how to get these wins. They scraped in the playoffs this year. They know they have that champion experience. They are the reigning champions. They're going to be able to go all the way here, I think, because just off that alone, the draws don't mean anything. In playoffs, it's going to go to extra time. They'll win it in penalties then.
Wow. I tell you what, I am impressed, gentlemen. We got through all of that, 30 seconds each. Come on, round of applause. Round of applause.
Hey, Jess, a lot of times, we tend to yap on a lot, but
You tend to yap on a lot, brother.
Hey, listen.
Where'd you even find that Game 7 in 1960?
Oh, yeah, that famous 1960 game that I was alive for. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the case.
we were all there watching it.
Kennedy
well,
wasn't even present.
We want to thank you for tuning in this week on Sports Talk in the Burgh. We will be here next week on Wednesday. We'll see you then.